Fellas, how in the hell are we doing here today? First, Berserker Khazan is a brand new single-player hardcore action RPG, which is just an incredibly fancy way of saying Souls-like. Alright, it's a Souls-like, big dog. This game was developed by Neopal and released on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation for $60. This is Neopal's first entry into the Souls-like genre, and it certainly did not disappoint in the slightest. Neopal is mainly known for their hit game series Dungeon and Fighter Universe, or DNF, and this new game actually takes place within that same universe. The story immediately picks up with the great General Khazan as he's on his way to be executed for treason. As soon as the gravity of the situation starts to set in, Khazan is rescued/revived and then possessed by an entity with otherworldly power. This new symbiotic relationship starts off a bit rocky, but Khazan and the entity both eventually reach the conclusion that they need each other if they're going to both accomplish their goals. From beginning to end, this is a story about Khazan's revenge against the people who falsely accused him. But it isn't as straightforward as that. There's multiple twists and turns throughout the game that constantly shift your focus on who the real culprits are. Overall though, I thought they did a great job with the story. I was locked in the moment it started, and it had me interested the entire way through. It was really good. The gameplay in First Berserker Khazan is exactly what you'd expect from a Souls-like, but it's a little more stylish, a little more aggressive, and honestly just feels clean. Think Neo meets Devil May Cry. The combat is fast, fluid, and rewards you for playing bold instead of just rolling around the map. There is dodging in this game, and it's certainly useful at times, but it feels like the combat is mainly centered towards this game's parry system, so you continuously deal out damage and keep your stamina bar up. Parries also allow you to follow up with your own attacks, which keeps the action going 24/7. I'm a big fan of Sekiro, and it almost has that same feel where it wants you to stand there and fight unless it's absolutely necessary to avoid something. This single mechanic alone felt incredible to play with, and it heightens the gameplay dramatically. For this game, you have three very distinctive playstyles. You could either use dual-wield light weapons for fast, quick attacks, a great sword for heavy, powerful strikes, or a long spear that sort of blends the two together. For each of these three playstyles, you also have countless different weapons you can choose from, but they don't necessarily do different things. They just come with varying random attributes that'll buff your player. The real uniqueness in the combat comes from the game's different skill trees that drastically upgrade your preferred method of fighting. To get the most out of your kit, you really only want to focus on one of these at a time, or your points will start to get spread pretty thin, but I thought this was a really good system that worked great for this game. And it also opens the game up a lot more for different playthroughs, so you can try out the other two main weapon classes. Also, once you get about halfway through this game, if you're building your kit correctly, you start to become incredibly overpowered. Most of the time, you're able to get normal enemies and even bosses caught in an absolute blender of chain combo attacks, and it's incredibly satisfying when you're fully locked in on your class and tools available. In terms of the game itself, this is played as a very linear experience, with the game guiding you from one mission to the next, and even the mission structures having a very set start and finish. You can explore around these levels a little bit, but there isn't any sort of openness to the world. You can't just travel around the entire map freely from one mission to the next. This game also has a ton of side missions that just kind of reuses the same mission over again, but they'll like have you do it differently where you'll end up somewhere else, or you'll track backwards, like you'll start from the finish and then go to the start. At first this seemed like a little lazy to me, like, oh, they're just reusing the same asset, but I mean, this game is ginormous and there are a ton of different levels in here, alright? If they were adding more new levels for all these little side missions and stuff, I mean, this game might have not came out for another year or so. Overall with the gameplay, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of different Souls-likes here on the channel before, and they all kind of got the same bones at its core, alright? You have little sites of grace you rest at to refill your pots and stuff. You have health pots to like refill your health. You have a health bar, stamina bar, light, heavy attack, all that fun jazz. That's all here for sure, but Khazan builds on it with all these different great things. And I honestly enjoyed this game a lot. The combat was really fun. I don't think I've had this much fun with a Souls-like in a while, probably since Black Myth Wukong. This was great. Switching on over to the visuals. Alright, listen everybody, I'm not gay, but Khazan could. Okay, yeah, so the game looks great. First Berserker Khazan blends a photorealistic environment with 3D cell shading character models to give the game a very striking and distinct graphical style. For those of you who don't know, 3D cell shading is a rendering technique used to make 3D graphics look hand-drawn. As you can probably already tell, this is typically used in Japanese anime and manga. The photorealistic world looks pretty standard as to what you'd expect from a Souls-like, but the character models really make this game stand out visually, as it's a stark contrast from the game's background. First Berserker also has various cutscenes throughout your playtime, and they actually have two different styles of portraying this. There's normal cutscenes that play whenever a major event in the story is happening, but there's also these little flashback scenes that take place in a completely different art style, and they both looked fantastic. The actual present time story cutscenes honestly had me so invested I could not wait for the next one to pop up. They're extremely cinematic and legit had me sitting there talking to myself like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Oh, this looks incredible, wow. You know, stuff like that. If they made a show or movie with these characters that looked like this, I would without a doubt watch it because I need about as much of this as I can get. It looked phenomenal. Like if you go for the first Berserker true ending in this game, the cutscene at the very end of that fight that finishes off the game, oh my gosh, I was damn near jumping up out of my seat. Like it was so cool to watch and I enjoyed the hell out of it. This game honestly just looks phenomenal. They did a great job on it. There's really not much else to say. Moving on to the audio portion here, they did a terrific job with that also. I have absolutely no complaints. The world sounds alive and appropriately reacts to whatever's going on in the game. The weapons sound distinct and clash with real power. The parry chime anytime you hit a perfect block is also so incredibly satisfying. I think I could listen to it on a 10-hour loop. The music fits all the various settings very well, especially when you're knee deep in any given boss arena. And the voice actors all did an amazing job at injecting tone and feeling into the story. While we're on voice actors too, I thought it was worth pointing out that the voice actor for Khazan, Ben Starr, also voiced Clive Rossfield in Final Fantasy. Our Blade Phantom, Anthony Howell, is the same guy that does Geppetto in Lies of P, Elias in Diablo 4, and Morgott and Margit in Elden Ring, just to name a few. Defrana, or Holly Earl, has also acted as Lilia from League of Legends, Ulrika from Dragon's Dogma 2, and so much more. Alright, I'm not going to name off every single person and their IMDb's, but moral of the story, this cast is pretty stacked with folks that have been around this space for a while, and they all delivered another pretty stellar performance here in First Berserker. Moving on to bugs and issues, I'm happy to report that my playthrough of this game had little to no problems at all. I never experienced any sort of crashes or problems that halted my gaming experience. I would also like to point out that I played this on PC, and that seems to be where games typically have the most issues on launch for whatever reason, but this was great. And not even a week after launch, they already started implementing patches and bug fixes to make the experience as smooth and refined as possible. And it feels like most titles wait like a month to do that, so this is insane. That was really cool of them. In conclusion, Your Honor, First Berserker Khazan is a phenomenal Souls-like experience in every way imaginable. The combat is fluid, extensive, rewarding, and not too overly complicated. The story is compelling and actually has you invested in the world and its characters. The world looks and sounds beautiful, and the game also runs pretty damn good for just being dropped not that long ago. If I had to wrap this all up into a rating today, 1 to 10, it's getting a big fat 10 from you, boy. In terms of the style of game they set out to create, they completely knocked this out of the park. And it's even more impressive that this is their first game of this genre. Whatever Neopal has coming down the pipe next, I am 100% excited for, and I will without a doubt be playing it. I haven't played every single Souls-like out there, but I've played quite a bit, and this honestly might be a top 5 or even top 3 all-time Souls-like for your boy. I really enjoyed this game, and if you haven't played it yourself yet, do yourself a favor and go enjoy some peak gaming, because I promise you will not be disappointed. But with that being said, folks, I think that's gonna about do it here for our review today. I know this might have seemed a little short, not as extensive as some of the other reviews, but it's a Souls-like. We've played a bunch of Souls-likes, reviewed a bunch of Souls-likes. At a certain point, we're just gonna be beating a dead horse. Like, oh yeah, this has a side of grace. Isn't that cool? Yeah, we like that. I was mainly just trying to focus on the things that set this game apart and make it different, and I really hope you go play it, because this was a phenomenal game. But yeah, that's about it for me, folks. If you have also been playing First Berserker Khazan, comment down below and let me know what you thought of the game, because I would love to hear it. And also, if you enjoyed your time here watching the review, why not hook your boy up with a like and subscribe for more gaming reviews like this? Alrighty, I'm done now, folks. Take it easy, everyone. Have yourself a good day or night or whatever the hell time it is for you. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound. No fucking shot this has a second phase, dude. Oh, okay, it doesn't. Woo! Woo! I thought the motherfucker was about to come back in. Holy shit, that would have been hard. Oh shit, he is!